Howdy, my name is Christian Stiker, and today I'm going to be presenting you my topic about Japanese energy security and its unhealthy relationship with the Gulf states with regards to its imports. A little background here. In 2011, the Japanese coast Sendai was struck by a 7.9 magnitude tsunami, which shut down the Fukushima Daiichi power plants and eventually resulted in an electricity deficit of 9.7 gigawatts to eastern Japan's grid. Nuclear power at this point contributed around 27% of the total electricity to Japan in 2011 prior to the tsunami. So because of that, Japan had to introduce rolling blackouts, raise electricity prices, and replace its most environmentally friendly power source with imported LNG and crude oil from the Persian Gulf and coal from some other locations as well. There's an alarming statistic from the International Energy Agency that 94% of Japan's total energy supply was imported in 2013, and of that, 93.7% of that supply was comprised of fossil fuels sourced mostly from the Gulf states. So I see the first risk originating from the Persian Gulf is a possible disruption to the supply of crude oil or natural gas transiting through the Strait of Hormuz. So there's historical precedent, of course. During the Iran-Iraq War in 1984, commercial shipping dropped by 25%, and the price of a barrel of crude oil jumped from $56 to $119. I see that with tensions rising between Saudi Arabia and Iran right now, it's very possible that future conflict between these two nations will contribute to a new disruption in going through the strait. The second possible disruption, or really the second risk to Japan's vulnerability, price fluctuations in oil and gas, is due to the fact that Middle East instability has contributed to changes in Japanese monetary policy. So during different supply shocks originating from the Gulf, Japanese monetary policy has changed as a result of those supply shocks. So during the Yom Kippur War, Japan raised its money call rate by 2 percentage points. And in addition to this monetary tightening, there's also a rather large jump in consumer prices compared to the jumps in consumer prices in similar nations like the U.S. and Great Britain. In addition, the Japanese industrial, transportation, and commercial sectors have high negative sensitivities to positive oil sensitivities or price sensitivities. So when the price of oil jumps, so too, or the demand for goods from these sectors will drop in a non-insignificant manner. Japan does recognize this, though, and they've responded with what I call a 5-pillar response. So the first pillar is that they've considerably decreased the amount of imports they've received from Saudi Arabia and the UAE in the past 2 years and increased the amount they receive from Russia. The second is that they've been diversifying the inputs for their electricity generation. So by 2030, they plan on having 23% renewables and 21% nuke contributing to electricity generation. The third is that they've been promoting environmentally friendly consumption habits, and they've been incentivizing a lot of different producers to make energy efficient goods. And you can see this through their Setsuden policy and then also through their Top Runner program. Their fourth pillar, which I think is really significant, is that they've been researching hydrogen fuel cell technology as that they're hoping to replace gas and diesel cars with hydrogen fuel cell cars. And lastly, they've created an oil share agreement with South Korea that will expand their capacity of strategic reserves in case of an emergency. But what I think Japan needs to do is put more money and resources into the extraction of natural gas from methane hydrate crystals. They have a large supply of natural gas in the Nankai Trench, and if they were able to access all that energy, they'd be able to meet their peak electricity demand for the next 10 years just with the natural gas from that trench. And additionally, I think they also need to increase the transformer capacity between their eastern and western grids. During the tsunami in 2011, the eastern grid was down, but had there been more transformer capacity, the western grid could have met the eastern grid's peak demand for the entirety of the year. That's fairly significant. Anyways, that concludes my presentation here. Thank you for listening.